Welcome to the Dystopian Renaissance. We cover spirituality, healing, consciousness, and truth. In this chaotic world we live in, it's important to get out of the matrix, and we'll do just that with biohacking, nutrition, spiritual awakenings, alternative healing, and freedom. This is the Dystopian Renaissance, and this is your host, Johnny Sage.
Sitting today with Christina Galvez. She's a Reiki Master, shamanic healer. And if I left anything out, or the new thing or you want to talk about the new thing you're doing too?
Yeah, I'm also developing, I'm in the finishing process of developing my own modality, which is I stacked all of my wonderful gifts in one session and serving it up like a buffet, and it's for, my lady clients.
And you've been doing this for a while, right?
15 years.
15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what caused you to get into all this? Like, how did you know you need healing, or what caused you to awaken?
Okay. Where do we start?
Any place you want to.
I would say just, on my way over here and just thinking about all of that. It came from a place of trying to wedge myself into belonging. And, I just wanted to be happy having, a corporate job, maybe would have wanted a window vista suite view looking over very nice, whatever, downtown LA. But that didn't work out for me because obviously, no matter what I did, I couldn't find that happiness that I was looking for. And now I know it's bigger than happiness. I'm more about my fulfillment, but I never found my place in the world. And then I just kept trying. And so the good thing about me was that I did have the luxury after selling real estate and finding a little bit of success in it, and decided that I would work on myself because I was already interested in personal development. But there was more to it than just, having a curated personality or learning sales. And so when I no longer wanted to do that, I started looking. I went back to school, and I found that wasn't the answer either, right? Psychology. Yeah.
Okay. So you started relatively light and just the personal development. Yeah, that's how I think a lot of us do it. We just dip our toe in the water, and either we're skeptical of it or we don't know about some of the other stuff that is available.
Yeah, I had already tried it all. I had gone to a couple of seminars. I didn't try therapy yet. I didn't think that I was even at that point yet. And then I did retreats. I love to meditate. I'd always been a meditator. And then I decided, well, what did I like about selling real estate? Well, I really like talking to people. I really like coaching. So I went back to school for coaching. I said, drop the psychology act. And then after that, I had multiple awakenings. So there were some tragic incidences there. Nothing that happened to me, but my best friend had been murdered and tortured. Yeah. And so to go through all of that trauma from seeing the photos, I could have been there. So I saw these photos, and I was in the middle of my holistic healing coaching courses. And I was like, this isn't going to help right now either, right? So I was like, am I going to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or am I going to go to a shaman? And since I was already into holistic healing, I just decided to go the shamanic route.
Oh, so you just kind of circumvented the traditional route from the beginning.
I could hear it speaking to me.
And how is that? Yeah.
So this can't be right. This isn't normal.
And how did you hear about the shamanic route? Did your friends do it, or?
Interesting. This is full circle. I didn't even know it was going to talk like this, but I actually started getting neurocare. I don't know if you know what that is. It's not neuroplasticity. It's biofeedback. And actually, he was here in this building. Is it Mariner here? Sorry. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So we used to come here. I used to come here, and I used to get treatments here for it. And then he was like, you know what? you're like, you probably need to go a little deeper. Like, I'm going to show you how to meditate, but if this stuff is going to work for you, probably have to like get into like these alpha theta states so you get to visionary. Yeah, and we can watch it in like the interface. And then this person, he introduced me to a shaman, more Tibetan mysticism. And then I started taking courses. And then he helped me kind of, get my act together because I was just really out of control. Yeah, or at least that's what I thought was happening, because the reality is, it was really just turned into a miraculous story. I get to see her go to the light, all of that beautiful stuff. But then in between, then I had, of course, all of these other little bumpy, small, insignificant, nothing too big awakening, like not being happy where I'm at, not really finding my place, knowing I'm a little bit, but I found it. And now I just have to stay.
And what was like the transition? What did you like want to learn first? And
Well, in high school, I wanted to learn drumming. So I already knew I had propensities to be this way. But because I was raised in a Catholic family, that was a big no-no. Yeah. So I already had my inclination to want to go in this direction.
So you like the shamanic drumming?
Absolutely. All of it. All of it. I was already meditating. I was very aware of the chakras at age probably like from 7 to 14.
Oh, wow. Because, most people, like, it certainly wasn't brought to my awareness back then.
No, and when I was reading these books, I was like, quantum physics, but I don't really know what this is, but when I grow up, I will. And then when I was in high school, I was like, wait. What physics? This is, no. I wanted quantum physics. What is this nonsense? So I was always in a deep search, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, it seems like it was natural that you were drawn to this path. And even though they were tragic incidents, that they happened because, like, this is where you were meant to be. Totally.
But it was always an alignment. I always thought it's a hobby. Like, healing is a hobby. Meditation is like a pastime. It's just a favorite pastime of mine. But I'm really glad that I found myself, because this is my lifestyle. This is truly what I'm aligned to.
Yeah, I know some healers, they just do a part-time, like a sound bath here and there. I don't know how they can do that, though, because once you get into it, it seems to they overtake you. You just want to do more. You notice the difference it's making you and others.
We're lucky. That's sometimes I think you're just really lucky, or you're just not going to go back to wherever we came from. I feel lucky.
Yeah, because I can't just turn it on and turn it off. Like, that's who I am now. And
yeah. And I knew I was a little off. Like, even at the office, I always knew I was a little different. I just didn't like blend in. I didn't fit in. You know what I mean? And I did try. I tried everything, but I was like, okay, that's not where I'm supposed to be. So I'm really glad that I'm just doing this.
Yeah, no, I am too, and that's what I noticed when I tried just about I tried pretty much anything you can, and stuff wasn't working. So it's like when you are pursuing what you're supposed to, that's what you're in alignment, as they call it, and doors start opening for you, and finally, and that felt good. That I'm like, oh wow, I don't have to work against the grain all the time.
Yeah, I think Reiki's my favorite, though. That's like my first love, because it was like something consistent that I did for those 21 days. It was this is before like the death of my best friend. I think I was telling you about, I was engaged to be married.
Yes.
In my search of trying to figure it out and like blend in, and just like stop causing, ruckus around my life. And I was like, okay, why am I not happy here? Like, this is supposed to be like the most amazing process of my life. The, Disneyland Happily Ever After, whatever, Lifetime special show. No, Fields. I didn't get that. And I was like,
I'm sorry, I missed it. Did you say like your healing journey started at like this building, or just the general area?
There's so many, Johnny. I mean, I never stop. Like, I don't think it, when it's your lifestyle, you just keep going. And it's not that you're in the search of, you just know where to go now.
Yeah.
For whatever it is that we're dealing with at that time, or not. I'm not dealing with anything anymore. I'm just like enjoying neuroscience and the process of all of that, right? like I'm constantly in some conversation of like just humanity or human condition. But I was telling you about my Reiki, my first 21 days of Reiki, outside of the whole other neurocare stuff. I think that was my favorite.
Yeah, because that's
My
like
absolute favorite.
the first one you learned, right? Was
Yeah.
the Reiki modality wise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what you were, for a while, that's what you were known
No,
as
I was
most.
already in holistic healing courses before Felicia's passing on. I was
Wait.
like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I'll do, this is what I'll do. Right. And then I was like, oh no, I'm not happy. Let me go get married. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is really not making me happy. And in the middle of my engagement, I told my fiance at the time, I was like, I'm not, there's something off and I can't talk about it. I don't know if I want to talk about it. I think I've been done with all the seminars I could. I'm sure Reiki's therapy is not something I really want to do, because I didn't think it was a mere him thing. It was just a me thing. And then I told him that either I needed just like a chakra balancing or something. And then I got online because I was in Las Vegas at the time. They didn't have no chakra balancing stuff. There was a counselor there giving Reiki treatments. I was like, what is this Reiki stuff? I was like, well, you know me, I'm going to try it, right? And I was like, that has to be some horse shit. So I kept going back to like the internet. Reiki this, Reiki that, Reiki here, Reiki there. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so quacky. And then I decided to pick up the phone, just call this woman. I had my first session with her. I absolutely loved it. Just loved everything about it. I didn't have to talk about anything. Do you know what I mean? I didn't even have to know what was wrong with me. I just felt like I got this really amazing insight that I don't think that I would have gotten from talking, is what I'm probably alluding to why I like it so much. You don't have to talk.
And that was a session with her, right?
Mm-hmm. Then she told me I could learn it. And then I learned it. And then here we are.
And you did when you learned it, you just want to do it on yourself first, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did the process, right?
Yeah.
How was yours?
I didn't think I would be doing it, like I didn't think I had the aptitude
I'm telling you.
or anything like that. So it just was like things just came together kind of. Because I thought I would have been nuts to just like want to start that. And some people come in, they're like, I want to do this for a living. And those people tend to not do that for a living afterwards. It's like, oddly enough, it's like some of the ones that just like fall into it that end up going like being practitioners.
Yeah, like a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
I wouldn't know, but that's my 21 days were the kindest to myself ever.
Also, it's good to show yourself self-love and self-care.
A lot of self-care, self-soothing.
Yeah, because I haven't even heard those terms even before I started this journey. So they don't really talk about much in mainstream society.
Yeah. So those 21 days, something that you just go to every day. So then I found myself a Reiki Master here in LA, and she's actually in the documentary Heal. She's the one that's doing the tapping. If you've ever seen it, have you seen it?
Yeah, she's
your Reiki grandma.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that was a great documentary, and I was glad because they don't do too many ones, or they did not at least that get a lot of recognition. So I thought that really kind of broke into the mainstream. So
totally, I get somebody sitting in front of me at my place of work or my private practice where they will share with me that they want to try all of that stuff too. And I don't think you should. It's not an ought to, but I think if people are inclined to like really work on themselves or participate in their own, unfoldment of whatever that is, spiritual or personal development, try it all.
Yeah, and I think that was important for me, was trying a lot of modalities, like when I was first on my journey, to see what resonated with me and what didn't.
Yeah.
Because there can be good modalities that work, but I don't think they're for everyone.
Do you remember which modality it was for you? Were like, yeah, this is it. This is where I'm going to go. I'm not going to just go ham on it and like go with it.
It was, I tried a lot. At the beginning, I tried like acupuncture and like the float pods, but acupuncture I knew would take a while to learn, and I started this kind of late. So I was like, if this takes 3 to 4 years to learn, that's already gonna, I want to do something. I want to get in right away. And at the beginning, at that point, I was still healing myself, so I had a lot of work to do. But I think the first one was Reiki. Yeah, it was because they said anyone could do it, and I didn't think I would be any good at it, but I knew I could at least like do it on myself and maybe share it with some friends or family members.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one of the first things you're going to learn about Reiki. It's Reiki, it's not us.
Yeah.
Shifting the gear to like giving it up to whether you want to call it higher power or life force, period, was what enticed me. I'm like, oh, I don't have to think about it. I just have to show up. I just have to do it. And it works.
Yeah, because it's not, we're not using our own energy. It's coming through us. So it actually helps like heal us, and it's not depleting us.
Love that part too. I was like, okay, I'm in. I don't know how this works, and I'm not even going to try to pretend that I do.
Yeah, so like, but at the beginning, I didn't really know what that meant. I don't know if I believed it.
But I wasn't the person you came to for that session. Was I the first person? I don't think so. Did you have a session already?
There was one other one. Yeah, it was, I did go to one practitioner because she told me about by randomly. She was like a massage therapist, and she mentioned Reiki.
Amazing.
And I never heard of it. So, but I asked my mom about it, who was a nurse, and she said she studied the first level at community college, like, and she's like, no, it's legit. It really helps. So I'm like, all right, I'll go study it. And the first time I took the level one was actually at the community college, and it was crazy. There was like 25 people in the class, and I was, besides the assistant, I was the only guy, and it was nuts, but I still loved it, you know. And
all right. So going back to that, right? Whether, I was like, okay, there's no science behind it. And at the point where it just worked on me so well, I didn't care anymore if it sounded right or whether it was going to go mainstream. The only thing I didn't want was for it to be like shammy or like charlatan-like. But I was like, but I had all the benefits for me. So if I know that it works for me, I'm just going to serve it up like I can offer it, not as like you have to do this. And so when I became a Reiki Master, I was also like a life coach, and I was going to teach people to do it for themselves. I wasn't ready yet to like stand, in my full power or in just anything. It was like, just teach you. That's coaching style, right? Like teaching. But you start to really have to answer the call. And there was another go-ahead round of wild awakenings, like where you're just like, yeah, this vastness. You're no longer your identities, no longer, I'm not my titles anymore. I'm not what I thought I even came here to do, and really started to awaken to a deeper calling. And I was just told that, I would be protected, and that I just had to go all the way in with the healing stuff. And that wasn't just about teaching, but it was about actually showing up and doing.
Yeah, and because I was skeptical when I started too. And it's what would you tell clients? Because there definitely are a lot of like frauds and charlatans that have been exposed in the healing and spiritual communities. Like, how did you know it's legit?
I'm going to tell you, I celebrated this day. When Dr. Oz actually put that Reiki was one of the most important alternative, which I don't like to use the word alternative, it's an integrative. Like you could do Reiki and still go get your, surgical procedures. You could still do Reiki and do your medicine. It's not one or the other. But Dr. Oz actually put on syndicated television, hey, if your doctors don't know what to do with you, don't know how to help you, try Reiki. His wife is a Reiki Master. I was like, well, I have job security. Thank God. I'm not going to end up like, in like a talk show talking about like, oh, look at all these people all these years doing this like monkey stuff or whatever. Like, no, it's really amazing.
Yeah, in the training manual I use, there is a section for hospitals that are using it, and a lot of nurses and even doctors are getting trained in it. So there is some science behind it now. I mean, not as much as like I like, but there
really
is
science can't
describe
get out of
it.
here with that already. Like
I should
know
use science. Yeah, that's
science married spirituality a long time ago, but science cannot describe really like the phenomenon. I mean, we're trying.
Yeah, and that's not even a good word to use now.
We're humans, and we want to create some stories around creation. Like everybody has a creation story, and everybody now has science stories.
Yeah. But at least I should say that more trusted professions are seeing the value of it. And,
absolutely.
And yeah, I think people always used to think it was one or the other, but they can complement each other nicely. You don't have to stop whatever treatment you're on. So you don't have to like stop seeing your doctor. You can still do that.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I think a 21-day process for about anybody who really wanted to have a self-soothing experience or even a self-healing experience. I think learning from a Reiki Master we have Yelp now. I didn't have Yelp when I was looking. I was like, I really just had to use my intuition. Sometimes we like fall into the hands of some ridiculous like quackery, which that's what my dad calls it, quackery. And then now we have Yelp, so you can do your research on people and read social proof now.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be afraid to try it.
Yeah, that's and yeah, for Reiki, at least you have nothing to lose. You're not going to have a bad session. Like worst case scenario, even if it's like a bad practitioner, it just wouldn't do anything probably, you know?
I haven't met one anyway. I don't think I've ever. I mean, I know people get certified online now, but you'll figure that out for yourself when you start to do your own math.
Yeah, because people ask me, because like they're like, what's the benefit of actually taking the class? Because you can get it online for free now. It's like a 40-minute thing and that's it. So, and I mean, granted, I like these things being accessible and stuff, but when you actually take the class and learn the history and do all the exercises in person or online, I recommend in person, but either way, like it seems like you wouldn't learn how to swim, but like online, there's some stuff you have to do hands-on.
Absolutely. You're not going to learn how to ride a bike in classroom. You're not going to learn Reiki from, an attunement free on YouTube. Sorry, that's not going to work. You have to actually do it on yourself. And then when you have somebody passing it down to you, whatever that is, like that's kind of like the stuff that I question too. But I've just learned to trust the process as well. It gets passed down. We have to have human interaction.
Yeah.
Again. And so the only thing I ask myself for those people that do want to get their attunement online on YouTube for free, when you're doing that, who's going to pay you for you to be their teacher, for someone why should anybody be paying you for help when you didn't even put any investment in yourself to actually learn from somebody who could teach you?
Yeah, and from my understanding, those videos are like just the attunements. They don't do any practice. They don't like practice sessions or learn the other techniques. So I was like, what are they going to do when it comes time to do a session? So
yeah, I hear you.
I think they're definitely losing something by, and if that's what all they could do, and I mean, something's better than nothing for sure. So
yeah,
but for people that are considering it seriously, it seems, and even like the classes online, even the ones that you do pay for, I still am not a fan of that. Like for at least, right, there's some things you can do, but that was one I couldn't imagine doing any other way besides in person.
Yeah, so you're teaching now too?
I'm teaching, yeah.
I love it. Okay.
I didn't know that, but yeah.
What happened?
I didn't know that, but yes, I've been teaching.
Yeah.
For a little over a year now.
Right on.
And it's fun. I didn't even think I didn't even like really want to teach, but it was one of my clients who asked me, could I teach her? And I'm like, okay. Cause I always thought about it, but I wasn't just going to start up a class and announce it. So,
yeah.
And it was nice. And I'm really glad I did it because, that's not gonna be my main thing. But every time I teach it, I learned something different myself. And I'm like, wow, there's really a lot to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was really beneficial to me to not only like read out the book again, but being able to explain it. And then sometimes if I'm neglecting something, I'll be like, oh, I really got to start doing this again. It keeps me in good practice too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's another reason why I love it so much, you know?
Yeah, because it helps like keep me accountable, so I'm not getting
Yeah.
lazier.
I haven't burned out.
Yeah, that was amazing. I even talked to the.
You asked me, like, what do I do to not burn out? I just don't. There's ways I'm not, you know, I have to show up.
Yeah, because
And I trust. And I've been doing it for so long that it just, you know, I know what to do.
and you've kept learning too. I think that's helped.
Yes.
So it's not like you're giving this. Well, you're not going to give the same session over and over,
Never.
anyways. It's always different. But
Yeah.
you've also implemented other modalities. You kept yourself active.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I think, and I've noticed healers like that don't, like they just learn something and that's where they stay. I mean, that's fine. You know, I don't say that judgmental wise, but
Yeah.
I know for me personally, it's like, I want to keep going, you know, like both for myself and others.
Yeah. And then, of course, I have my own personal energetic gifts that no one had to teach me to do. And so I feel like the Reiki helped push me in that direction to just trust myself as well and not just depend on, you know, the symbols or the mantras. And that was really where the shamanic healing kicked in.
Yeah, and I've seen and talked to you about that too. It's because you have a psychic aspect to it too.
I think we all do. An intuitive aspect.
Intuitive, yes.
Feeler. I'm an empath, so I can, and it's the type where I feel everything as if it's actually happening to me. So it's a nice situation because when people walk through the door, they don't have to talk about what I know I need to do because I could feel everything that is going on with them. Yeah.
Oh, so that's where like you get a lot of your hits on someone of what's going on is just by being able to feel it.
And sometimes they wear their stuff, right? Like whether they're heavy or dense or depressed or anxious or whatever's going on with them, like a disease. Like they'll wear it like a watch. You just forget you're wearing it. You know what I mean? And they just want to talk. It's like, well, no amount of talking about a headache is going to get your headache to stop. If anything, it might start to hurt more because you're just focused on that one thing. I'm like, hey, what's this going on over there with you? Can we address that? I think that's probably what you maybe came in here for, to stop feeling depressed. And it's not always biological or neurological. It's not always situational or emotional. So the thing that I've continued on with my studies that I know what it most likely would be, and I help. And then that's what I do.
And no need to get into like details or anything or reveal anything, but you like working with sometimes like the harder clients, right?
Yeah, my favorite. A challenge.
The one that they're told there's no hope for.
Yeah. In and out of psychiatric wards. Yeah. Or taking medication and the medication is really not helping them with the anxiety or the depression. So then we know it's not biology. It could be energetic. It could be spiritual. It could just be the way they self-talk and no one ever sat down with them to really like, you know, be with somebody in their situation. It's like, you know, when you go to the doctor and it's a 10 questionnaire. And if you just fall under, you know, whatever number you needed, like half of filling it out is being depressed, you get a bottle, you know, for your depression. And then that doesn't stop anybody from being depressed. So then we know that wasn't the answer for them. So then I get those people coming in. It's the last resort, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Do you think it should be the last resort? In an ideal situation.
I think because we know that we're like, okay, we're conditioned to believe like, oh, go to an authority figure like a therapist or go to an authority figure that would probably know better than you do about you. Go to your doctor. And no, that's not. I think a lot of people are waking into that aspect of why they would want to come see someone like myself.
Yeah.
Or they're just spiritual. I get a lot of people are like, oh, you know what? I just, you know, they're already wired this way. Like, no, I know I don't want to go to the doctor. Let me just go find somebody over here that can help.
Yeah. But that goes back to what I was saying before, is that I noticed like a lot of people, they're like one or the other. There's a polarization. They either like just Western medicine or like they won't go a doctor for anything, you know,
I'd hate to say this, but good thing their doctor doesn't work because then they get to work with me and I love doing this stuff anyway. So, and I choose to market myself as somebody who my forte is depression and anxiety, and or because they're best friends, they come together.
Yeah, I've noticed.
They come in hand. I'm like, come on, sit down, guys. Let's get it off you. Bye. And people just get up from the table and they're like, okay, great. On to the next healing modality or fun or whatever. Just go back to your life feeling well.
Yeah. And I also like Reiki is like you can also add aspects of yourself to it too. Like you brought the shamanic aspect, like which when I came to you a long time ago, but it was all.
You can bring your bowls,
yeah,
your rocks, your therapies, your massage.
Crystals used too, right?
Rocks,
yeah,
your gems and your rocks and crystals and your minerals.
yeah, you're right. It's all encompassing.
Bring it all, the stones, everything. Lava, anything you want. Yeah, that's another reason why I love Reiki. I'm telling you, it's my first love.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know where I would be today if it wasn't for Reiki.
I think Reiki is a good one to start for pretty much anyone, unless they're feeling something different, but you really can't go wrong learning it. And it's one I'm appreciating more as even when I look back on it, because sometimes I take it for granted, as the years goes by.
Is it so easy?
Yeah, it's almost too simple. I think we like to make things complicated, You
got that right.
It's like where it doesn't have to be. Reiki has help with so many things, but it's pretty easy.
I hear about it all the time. I think you can hit a plateau with it as well, though.
Yeah.
And you can, but I hear about it all the time. Like I'll have like Reiki practitioners come back to me and they're like, we know it's something more to this. And, they'll find other modalities too to put it back into the Reiki practice. And then I'll hear years later that it's their favorite, or that was the one that, what did have the most impact. We forget about these things.
Yeah.
You forget.
And I really liked implementing crystals myself or rocks. So
yeah.
I was really skeptical on those.
Yeah, you were.
You probably remember. I was like, this is crazy.
I was like, okay, whatever.
But I found now,
I knew you would grow because you already had that 1 foot in, right? You had your 1 foot in, and I could see you were a seeker. Once we're seekers, we're just on that path. We're not, you had 1 foot in is what I'm saying. You weren't like, you were no longer on the fence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's only time before you just get fully involved and you just give it up. You give up the gig of like the skepticism. I was there too. I remember going in and out of it. Like, do I really want to do this? What the hell is this? What is this? And like, who's going to believe me that this is real or right? And I just had to go back and just remember how much it helped me. It really didn't matter anymore. I think Reiki too also helped me to not give a shit any longer as to fitting in, found like my safe place within myself and didn't need any more validation when it came to anything. And then that's why I just kept going down the path until you become the path.
Yeah, and it seems like as you keep going, it feels more and more natural, I think, too. You don't overthink it as much or second guess. You kind of, even when you're doing new stuff, it just kind of flows more naturally.
Yeah.
At least that's what I found.
Yeah.
And then after you did the Reiki, did you learn anything immediately after that, or you stuck with that for a while?
I don't stop.
And
I don't stop. It's just like I don't stop. The latest one is really just wrapping my head around neuroplasticity.
I was going to say that because you have your PhD as well, right?
Yeah, transpersonal counseling. So that has everything to do with the spirit, But we know that we are spirit. So we have this body. I came from spirit. I'm going to go right back to spirit. But while I'm here, I'm still fully interested in the human condition as well.
And I always
thoroughly.
And I always thought that was interesting about you was you're able to combine a more academic side with the really spiritual stuff too.
Yeah.
So was that hard for you, or that just came naturally?
I think being extraordinarily interested in human condition was always with me. I'm the baby of there's 9 of us. So I had a lot of stimuli growing up, a lot of personalities. And it all just seemed very natural for me to understand everybody's position, like why that person is the way that person is, or why that happened over there. Like for me, it was just normal to just process stuff, even as a teenager. And so growing up, I thought psychology would be it for me. And it didn't fall under the line of like what was true. So I did learn all these other like, philosophies around and psychology. And there's just so many type of different therapies, right? And so I use all of that background, yet with my own intuitive processing, because I had so many people around me. And when you work with people, it almost feels like it's always like the same group. I think teachers would probably identify with this. If you have a classroom of 20 people, next year, the next 20 are almost identical. And they leave and then you get another 20 students and like, it's identical. You're going to get that one doing that one thing. You're going to get that person doing that thing. You get these clusters of people doing this thing. And of course, that's their age, that's what they're supposed to be doing. And so I just understand people that way. And that's just the added benefit of working with someone like me. It's not just, the spiritual bypass of like, just leave it up to spirit, or, that was just a chakra balance, imbalance. Now, there's a lot going on with us. Then it's not, some things that we are, very obvious that you have depression, but then how can we keep the depression off of you? That's not always obvious to people, that what they're doing has something to do with how they feel, or what they're thinking has a lot to do with their emotional states. Yeah. So if people want to continue to work with me and not just do the spiritual bypass, I'm totally up for it.
So that's great. You can offer kind of both approaches depending on what. So if they're not like, not quite there yet on one thing, that there's a different way you can lead them to.
Yeah. I'm telling you, serve it like a buffet. I'm like, this is what I got, and you don't have to do it all. And you don't have to do it. You can sample a little bit, and then if you really like that one thing, then we just go all in on that. Whether that's, chakra balancing or core wound. I mean, I don't think a lot of people go into a healing session because they have a core. So it's like an onion. They come in and you just peel that one big layer off. And then guess what? There's some more there. And then they'll go off on their own and things aren't quite, copaesthetics. Hold on. I still got some more to go because I go back home after a healing session with me. And nothing changes when you go home. You might feel like la 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 and quite feeling very wonderful. And then you go home about 2 weeks, and then you just forget about what it was, everything that was going on around you that got you to come in the first place. Either what you're doing, could be what you're eating, could be what you're thinking, could be what you're watching, could be what you're experiencing, could be you're unconscious. You just don't know. You don't want to go back to that 9 to 5 again, and you don't know what else to do. That's not biological. That's situational. So.
Yeah, I found, like, for me personally, and maybe there's differences, but it was because I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to do.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was, I think, and I talked about this previously, but just, I think a lot of depression is like when people aren't really pursuing their soul purpose, or and they might not even know it, because I think we're told there's something wrong with you. It's genetic, biological, and I'm sure that could definitely be some factors, especially for some people. But I think a lot of, like, my clients that come to me, it's I can see they're trying to do something that's not fitting them, and they're just trying to either like play it safe or just keep going, doing a job they hate, or surrounded by people they don't like, but they still have in their life anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it's normally like you have to change your situation first, at least to do that first. And then if it's something else, then you can at least find out.
You point out situational, right? So that's harder to do than the energy work, to try to change your life in order for something to change inside of you. I think you have to change something inside of you, know what that change needs to be, and then maybe you can work around the outside. I always think, like, go through the inside. Then I was telling you about that, the onion. You peel a layer. There's that core wound in there. So to even get there, because nobody comes in, I'm bleeding, not emotionally bleeding, but I'm emotionally, like, messed up. And yet it could be the 9 to 5, or it could be my mom, you know, or it could be this marriage isn't working. You have a core wound, or just trying to fix it at every other angle. But there's a real core wound there, and so yeah, I'm here for that one too.
And yeah, I think it's a lot easier for me to just give advice because it's easy to see it on the outside looking in. But I've been there. I know it's really hard when you're there, and it's sometimes they don't know. Like that's all they know, so they don't know what else.
We have now this whole trauma thing, right? It's super popular, at least in my community, right? Everybody's bringing up, but I see it. I don't know if it's because of who I follow on Instagram, but trauma became pretty popular. I remember when I chose to want to work with trauma, some of my friends were like, do you really want to do that? Because we used to think that trauma, people were really messed up. And that's not true, because trauma is not a disease. Trauma is something that happened to you.
And at the time, we just didn't have the ability to deal with it.
No, everybody's like, oh, trauma, you're messed up. You're hardwired that way. That's why I like neuroplasticity, because we know now through science, and that's the real science that, I won't say real. You can cut that one out. I don't like that word real, but we're learning that that trauma is not in the body, that that's not a disease. And in my book, anxiety is not a disease, and depression is not a disease. It's a symptom of what happened. So what happened to you is not a disease. It's something that happened. Not, and long after we forget. And most of the stuff, true, it happened in childhood. We didn't have the mind of a adult to say, hey, you know what, that wasn't your fault. Or, hey, that was really messed up. Or, you know what, your parents, or my mom's really stressed out. That's why she behaved that way. As a kid, we're like, oh, we're unloved. Oh, there's something wrong here. You know what I'm saying, right? So, like, now if we see our mom acting a certain way, we're like, oh, she's probably having a really bad day. When we're kids, we don't say that to ourselves. We just internalize it, and it just starts to feel like we're bad, unloved, wrong, small. Or more stuff could have happened because, a lot of things happen when you're a kid.
And plant medicines played a big part in your journey.
Yes, they do. All of them.
Oh, so not just ayahuasca
no,
or
I'm
psilocybin?
a mushroom eating, ayahuasca drinking, kambo taking. I've also done kambo. Not by you yet, but definitely I'm signing up with you. I could do another round of 3.
Well, thanks. Yeah, that they call it the lunar cycle, and people ask me how often they should do it, and if they're just starting, I say just try it once, see how it affects you that way.
I did my first session of kambo, and I could have swore I would tell you I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back. It did nothing for me. I was actually really upset. I think I wasn't going to have even a small panic attack. I don't know what that was. It passed. I said, okay, you know what? But I had already signed up for the 3. So I'm really glad I did the second one. Because after that second one, I really got the full benefits of whatever gumbo had for me. Like I had never felt stronger in my body. It felt so amazing the second time. And then I was like, okay, I'm obviously going to finish up my round of 3.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say that because I recommend another person just told me that within like the past month or two, the first time didn't do anything.
3. Just tell them 3 because if they get stuck on that, and they won't feel the full benefits of gumbo.
And if they didn't sign up for the 3 in advance, they probably wouldn't have gone back.
No, and so yes, so yeah, sometimes people really do need the extra push in anything, or some of us need to be told what to do. I wouldn't have gone back had I not been told, hey, 3 is like the magic number for this, or at least for the way that I want to serve it up, the woman that I went to.
But I'm surprised because I've done it a lot now and it's never not done anything. So that's why I hear these stories. I'm like, well, how did that happen?
I think I went into it cautiously. Maybe I didn't drink enough water. Maybe I just didn't the whole, hole, the burn in the skin part, or I just wasn't ready to fully purge. You don't know. We don't know.
And with the other plants, how did that shift things for you?
Okay, so this last sitting with my shaman, this ayahuasquero from Colombia. It was such a beautiful experience because I've been doing a lot of the just sitting in my heart mind consciousness for a while, just letting things be and then allowing myself to just get back into my heart. That was really important for the last ayahuasca because they could be really extreme. I don't know what your experiences are, but mine are extreme. There's extreme. That's all I can say, extreme. I don't think we have words for it. But this last one was really amazing because I sat down with a bunch of strangers. You just hear everybody purging. And of course, it's very visionary. So I had my own visions and tapped into spirit in a way that we just don't. 3D, mundane, day-to-day lifestyle. But it was really nice. And so this one was really beautiful and kind and gentle. And just I processed a lot of stuff. I had 2 deaths this year. And they were really important people in my life. But we know that this isn't it, right? Like this is not it. And so I was able to sit with one of the people on the other side, and she was teaching me like how she communicates. Yeah. Continues on to communicate.
Wow. So it really helped you get through that hard situation that you were going through.
I think I was already getting signs from her. So I was like, oh, you know what? I really want to sit down with the medicine. Like this, instead of just going to the medicine like, oh, I'm hurt or I'm in pain or I need help, I go into it now with a little bit more reverence and a lot more respect, obviously. Like it's not a recreational thing. But I was getting a lot of signs. And some of them were very mystical. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like I need this to slow down. But I was still getting a lot of signs, and I didn't want to be weird about it. And I didn't want to, because it's something so close to your heart. My emotions were getting a little meshed in with it. Sometimes you get pings or you get signs and you're like, oh yeah, you think, or it's okay. And you just feel it, or you may want to believe that you're getting signs. Oh no, I was getting a lot of signs. So I was like, I want to sit with spirit. And I did. It was amazing. It was amazing. I'm glad I did it with this last shaman. Yeah.
Yeah, they sound really good. And when I tell some people about it, like combo or ayahuasca, they're like, oh, but I don't like purging. And I'm thinking like, no one does. That's not it. But it's different when you're doing it. It's not like a alcohol poisoning purge.
Okay, so time out. You're getting well. If you just reframe it, people understand what that means. You're not getting sick, honey. You're getting well. When you throw up, it's because your body doesn't want that there. It's not because you're getting sick. You've been sick. And the moment you throw up, boom, you're well. You just let go of whatever that was that no one could ever told you, but you experience it. You experience the purge.
Yeah, you feel better afterward. It feels completely different. It feels good, and that just comes out.
Or live with it for the rest of your life and not know that that's your stuff over there. Go ahead.
Yeah, because all those are toxins of some kind coming out of you. So it's like you can't go through that for 10 minutes to an hour.
And you know what's amazing about this? Also, this medicine is you very much like the way that I see my clients come in, wearing stuff on them, on their body. It's pain or emotional hurt. It's like a watch. You just forget that it's there. For me, ayahuasca is that. Like I don't have to talk about it. I didn't even know it was there. I'd been wearing it for God knows how long with no awareness of it. Yet it's still fucking me up somehow. Right? Whether it could be like greed or gluttony or dissociative things that we do to check out and, not really get on with our lives. You see all of that come up, whether that's energy medicine or you do something extreme like ayahuasca, which is extremity. I purge. I think it's so interesting. I purge before. I start the process before because, you have to do your dieta. Yeah. I love it. Yeah,
it's not just like a one time and done. It's a whole ordeal, like a whole ritual.
Yeah, I know.
So I think if people look at it that way, it's more meaningful too.
Yeah. So if any of your listeners want to join in on some of our sit downs, they can get a hold of you or I.
Yes, for
real.
And you talked about this new modality, heal. That what it's
my modality? Yes.
How'd you come up with that, and what is it?
How did I come up with it? I don't have an elevator pitch for it. I don't even feel like I have a story, but it just coming from a place of transparency. Literally, this came about because COVID had to stop. So we had to get in front of that Zoom, the little camera on your, computer. And I was okay with that because I had been doing that. But I knew I had to do more. So what I was going to do is I was going to put my Reiki classes online, right? Because that's what I do in groups. We can't get together in groups anymore because COVID. And so I was like, okay, I'll record it. But I wanted it to be better than just Zoom. And so I got these cameras and that little red button I was telling you about, literally I would go to freeze. Couldn't even remember my name. Like it's something that just went over and I just had a white blank board. And I don't think like that of myself. And I started to question, what is this? Like, so then I got really related because I was trying to beat it because you keep on keeping on. I really want to get, comfortable, but it wasn't that. I was taking a class to get comfortable in front of a camera. It's not happening. I was like, okay, hire this. That's not happening. Or maybe the technology has to be better. That didn't work for me. And I was like, man, what is this freeze? Like I just got really present to. It's nothing to do with any of that. My brain just wants to shut down. Well, I started to do a little bit of my math, my own charts and graphs, and maybe what my history was. And through my own memories and through working on myself, I was like, that's where I got my freeze response. My brain just wants to be safe. And the reason why I know this is because then I took a medical neurobiology course just to prove to myself I wasn't stupid because I couldn't remember my name, not even when the camera lights were on. And I was like, okay. So then I was like, okay, I love this stuff now. I love neurobiology. I've always been interested in the neuroscience behind it. This is my personal, hobbies. And then I started putting a modality together that might help other people too as I was doing it. And I just tapped into some genius zone. I'd wake up in the morning, like in the middle of the night or like early in the morning. And I would just be flooded with information on how to do this for other people as I was doing it on myself. And the heal even came in like that. Like, who sits down and decides to put this together? Have everything and anything lifted? I woke up that way one day. I was like, heal. So I started looking online. I'm like, nobody took this. Like, I'm taking it. I'm going to trademark this one. Heal. It's mine. I woke up this way. That's what happened, basically. That's like, but it did come from a deep, like, painful experience. Like, why can't I remember not even my name and not even in front of a camera? This is ridiculous. Like, I wasn't meant to just, I'm at the point where I am comfortable with who I am and I do want to grow. But if it's the camera that's keeping me from growing, I need to heal from this. So, what I had to heal from, that's not something I really want to talk about with anybody because of some crazy, ridiculous experiences that I had in my previous life that I just thought, that was wild. That was an experience, but I survived it. I'm alive, I'm breathing. But my brain didn't want to believe that, it's not dangerous to be seen, or to play dead. Because that's what freezes. Play dead. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm not dumb. And why did I just see a whiteboard in the middle of my face? Like, I couldn't access information. So it was really happening something in the brain as medical or biology. And so I discovered what that was, and here we are.
And it's come together, and I haven't tried one of the sessions.
How was that for you?
It was interesting because I went in pretty open-minded, not really knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
But it definitely had a good result. And like I was telling you during the session, memories came up that I long forgot about.
That's right.
And I just definitely felt a lot lighter and relieved afterwards.
The idea is to pick what you want to work on that would stop you. Mine was being in front of a camera and still being able to speak and sound intelligible and intelligent, because I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even be intelligible. Just go blank. And the method now is to have the client, whoever, because it was offered up as a case study for my already existing clientele. Does anybody want to join me? I said, sure, we'll do it, whatever. And it was like, working it out with them too, like, like a mad scientist, but like, it was like psychological, surgical procedures over here with people. And like, could we really get it at the memory? And could we really do this? Because I know how that works, because I know this, the neuroscience. And then I know like, nerve cells and all of that, and even nervous central systems. And I just started making commands. And of course, I put all kinds of wacky stuff in here that is just amazing. And what I've noticed is it's effective. It's effective to not have you talk about what you think your problems are, but can we just explore in the mind? Be the observer, and then you begin to be the experiencer of like, oh yeah, and it tracing back from what you want to do, whatever's stopping you, and then trace it back to what is the problem? Why are you procrastinating? Why do we put it off? Why do we fight, freeze? Yeah.
And it obviously could help with goals, because you already mentioned that. But what else?
Everything. You could probably even work with disease. I have put the Reiki in and my shamanic healing just to tag it, just to get it at the outside. Because there's lots of layers to wanting to get to the source of a wound. Nobody gives up their wound just like that. No one comes in, hey, Christina, you know what? I was touched inappropriately. Help fix me. Nobody does that. It was like, I have a problem. I feel like shit. I can't stop the bad, negative self-talk. Nobody comes in. It's like, fix this core wound. Fix what happened to me when I was 3 years old. But we can get to that, because that also causes disease. All unprocessed emotions, traumas, they will result in a disease or chronic disease. So maybe yes. In my case study, because I'm already a healer and I'm throwing it in there, I would say yes. A disease, chronic disease, yes. Like Crohn's disease and stuff like that. Because we know it's tied into, hey, something happened. And we're not getting it at the core of what happened. We're not treating the core, so that core wound is going to be there. And then, but if we want to, make it fun, because of course I have to have fun. So it was like, okay, let's pick a fun goal, a dream, and then figure out what is in the way. Yeah, what's stopping you? And then we just bring it up through memories.
Yeah, and that, like I was saying, that was an interesting part for me, because, stuff I forgot about, even along my healing journey, not on purpose, but just came up.
You forget.
Yeah.
Just like on your phone when you take pictures, you delete them and you forget that time and day. But guess what? You didn't trash them from the trash bin, and they're there. And they're taking up RAM or gigabytes or kilobytes, whatever. I mean, I don't know too much about that. I'm sure one of you can help out with that. Is it gigabytes or kilobytes? I don't know. I'm calling it RAM. I'm old school. It frees up the RAM. Okay, we didn't need to have that in there. Just trash the trash. People trash it. But no, it's in there, like our phone. So the memories are still in there, taking up energy, RAM, whatever. We haven't freed ourselves yet to be ourselves, or to release the freeze. That was my deal, the freeze. Like it was like my brain wanted to just play possum on me in the middle of me wanting to grow and expand. And I was like, oh, hell no. I got to get to the bottom of it. And I did.
And for someone who's interested in trying this, what would you recommend? The first timer.
The first time, I want to do this virtual. I have a master class actually. And in the master class, it prepares people to kind of understand what they're going to get involved in. The first thing that I want someone to initiate is to dream up why they want to heal, or what's that goal, because we're all in different stages of our lives, right? Like some people want to make that $1 million, and other people are like, oh, I want to write that book. That's always been in me. So it's totally up to you. When I was 20, I just want to make $1 million. When I was 20, I wasn't where I am now. Like, I want to expand and share my gifts. I wasn't though. So, but this is for everybody. So I was just trying to make it accessible to everybody wanting to do anything with their life. And let's get everything out the way that's keeping you from actually achieving it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I was that when I was younger too. I think we're just taught if we get enough money, then we can
fix our problems.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you could travel, but other than that, like you're just running from your problems even then.
Oh, yes. Traveling can be a total dissociative thing too, right? Like too much gaming, porn, drugs, anything that we're binging is dissociative. Anything we're doing too much of and not actually participating in our real life. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a numbing. It's what we do to numb. So even I would say that traveling is a numbing effect or a runaway effect of like, because we're enough. We are enough.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I see people's pictures and they look so happy and when they're going to a nice place after nice place.
We know what's up.
But yeah, whenever I travel,
we've been there.
It's like exhausting sometimes,
Well, we're just going to come back to ourselves. That's what I'm saying. Like when people come into a session, they're like, oh, this was great. But then you go back to your home situation, events, things, and, you feel really good. But if we don't actually understand what the genesis is, what the core is, we're just going to keep doing it. Like another session, another vacation. Do you know what I mean? Or some more gaming or do some Netflix for like binging Netflix, binge alcohol, binge anything. We can binge anything. We can binge books, whatever.
Yeah. And I never thought of it that way. We obviously know the really harmful addictions because they're talked about.
No, you can binge anything.
Anything, yeah.
You can check out of life doing anything. Some of it could be skillful and some of it can, you think it's not hurting anybody. Nobody knows about it, but really you're not living your life. And then it does become painful because now you're just using that as a crutch to hide, to play small, to do nothing, to cope or to adapt. Because all of it was adapt. Anything that I think that we're doing as adults that we no longer want to do, it actually came from a place of wanting to adapt, and then it becomes maladaptable, right? And then we find ourselves as adults not having skillful coping skills, right? Things that actually are benefiting our life in a certain way. And then we don't know where to go to. But this masterclass that I put together, I think I nailed it on that one for some of my favorite, the people that I like to serve, that are inclined to want to work on themselves, that do have dreams, and then, and that just like this process, And
these are with groups, the masterclass?
It's online. I'm telling you, I had to go virtual, man.
Yeah. It's
like the group consciousness thing. We're not going to go back to normal shit.
Yeah, no, I have that appears to be.
So this is online. I can't get a group of people together anymore. I just sit down. I used to do this a lot in person. Not this particular way, but I had to give up thinking that I'm going to be working in group consciousness in person. So it's virtual, but I do have virtual live sessions, and then I have evergreen or present sessions online.
And those are like the online groups, I should say.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
But they can do a private as well. Well, do you recommend?
You could do 1-to-1, but I rather do the group consciousness now. Yeah.
All right, but people still.
There's only one of me, so I had to do this work, and I know it works because I'm able to talk in front of a camera, not like completely ridiculous, just possum.
It does. I get a test to that. And yeah, you're right. This was a good test for you. I didn't think of it that way.
Thank you.
So we're at the end here.
Yeah, this is proof of my own shenanigans, healing extravaganzas.
Yeah. And if someone wants to reach out to you, what way do you recommend?
I think we're going to put it on this platform, yeah?
Yes, so, I'll definitely list the links
One
below.
way is just Christina Galvez. So Christina-Galvez.com. So www.Christina-Galvez.com.
And that has all your contact ways, so you can either email or call.
Yeah, no, just a website right now. And then once you enter the website, like you can, I have charts and graphs and arrows and buttons.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good resources.
Videos.
Nice.
I'll have this there too.
Oh yeah, because you started doing the videos as well, right? On YouTube, and then you post other informational ones on your Instagram.
You were there. Hello. You helped me kick off the women's group. So yeah.
Yes, I helped with all the sound healing.
Yeah, you're actually on my you're on my website. Yeah, you got to see it because I haven't launched it, but you're there. You're doing.
Oh yeah, listeners, please check out our website. If not, just to see.
Which everybody loves your sessions too.
And we did some sound baths together.
And we're going to continue to do some sound baths together.
Yeah, the people got a lot of benefit from them. It was the chakra healing series.
I love that shit.
Yeah, that was nice. So
Love it.
I know there was some, we traded roles here there, but I mainly did the sound and you were doing the meditation and Reiki,
that day somebody had passed on that day. So I had a nice little breakdown that day that you were doing the bowls. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to just sit back in the back.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was the day. That was one of the days that I had a passing on. Yeah, I had to take a little walk out to Robertson. I almost fell on the ground. I'm like, no, we can't do this right now. Let's just, keep on keeping on. And then I was just really, but what we do for a living is super gentle. So someone kind of just came out. I'm like, okay, this is grieving. This is what it's going to be. I got to say goodbye to her. So on that day, and then just sit in the back and listen to your bowls. I was like, okay, I'll deal with my life tomorrow and whatever comes up. And everything was super gentle. Now all of my stuff is gentle. Like my processes of healing is gentle, not hurtful, painful. It's just a gentle ride now. This healing path. It's gentle.
Sorry, I didn't know it at the time, but thank you for hanging in there, at least for the people that showed up, because I know they liked it. And obviously I don't tell people to just trudge through anyways if they really need to take time off. But I remember it still was a nice session. And who knows, it sounded like it even helped. So
yeah, totally.
The sound definitely offers a lot of benefit too.
Yeah. Yeah, no talking. I like that. Let's not talk about it. Let's just do the work.
Yes, and I'm up for...
That's my favorite aspect of what I do for a living. It's like, yes, I like to talk. I love to connect with people. I like to do the unprocessing with people, the debriefing, but I love that we don't have to talk about it. Yeah.
And I'm definitely up for continuing that series if you are. And I'll definitely, if we do, I'll announce that. And yeah, thanks for sitting with me today. It was a good talk.
Thank you.
If you're ever up for a part 2, I would be.
Yes, at 6 and 7, 8. Okay.
Yeah, maybe a future co-host. Who knows?
Yeah.
And that'll even definitely prove the heal method works.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, I could just attest to listeners out here that your healings are really good. Both they inspired me when I was first starting. So I can really highly recommend trying a session, whether it's the Reiki or the new modality you're offering.
Yeah. Thank you.
They're all great. It was great speaking with Christina Galvez today. Please check out the links we'll provide. I set up a Patreon. Any amount you can donate is greatly appreciated and help. Please follow and subscribe so you can get notified of any updates. And I have another great guest coming up next week. Be seeing you.
You've been listening to the Dystopian Renaissance. Spirituality, healing, consciousness, truth. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. And tell a friend or two. That would help also. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the Dystopian Renaissance. And please find the website at www.thedystopianrenaissance.com.